Stuntmen. They're in almost every movie, and yet they go unnoticed. There's no recognition or awards. They're always hidden in the movies. Hell, they're even hidden in the credits. Some actors and actresses are just the pretty face and don't do any of their own stunts, and others, like Tom Cruise, do all their own stunts. But if stuntmen do a lot of the work, why do they get hardly any credit? Director David Leitch wanted to change that in his new movie, The Fall Guy. When I first heard about this movie, I was afraid it was going to end up one of two ways. One, it would act sort of like a documentary, just showing off some cool stunts and talking about the stuntmen behind them. Or two, it would hardly mention stuntmen and just be a fun action story starring Ryan Gosling. Little did I know it was going to be the perfect blend of action, romance, comedy, and a general tribute to the hidden talent behind the scenes. Today's video, while yes, talking about The Fall Guy, will more specifically focus on its tribute to stuntmen and women. Spoilers ahead. First thing I wanted to talk about is casting, which I just want to say is nothing short of perfect. Ryan Gosling plays Colt Seavers, an experienced stuntman, and is sent on a journey to find Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. Aaron plays Tom Ryder, an action superstar that's just a little bit cocky and very much a jerk to everyone around him, but especially his stuntmen. Behind the camera of the movie Tom Ryder stars in is Emily Blunt's character, Jodie. She originally produced a movie that Colt had doubled in. It was the movie where he got injured doing a stunt and took a break from stunt work. He is eventually called onto the set of Metal Storm, Jodie's directorial debut. He's essentially there to do stunts and fill in until Ryder is found. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling have great chemistry, and together they create a believable and slightly funny love story. Emily Blunt's character was a strong female lead that felt natural, but that's not really saying a whole bunch because Emily Blunt has always picked great female characters, and Ryan Gosling brought the perfect amount of charm and charisma and silliness to his role of Colt Seavers, as per the usual. Hannah Waddingham and Aaron Taylor Johnson do great as antagonists. They're just the right amount of crazy without being too over the top. The scenes that Aaron was in were all really charming in a villainous kind of way. Winston Duke's character Dan was another highlight. He was the perfect stunt buddy for Colt, and their shared scene in Ryder's home was perfectly choreographed and acted. All around, the cast was perfect, and I can't wait to buy the DVD so I can watch it over and over. But the main reason I'd buy the DVD is for the stunts. There were some killer action sequences throughout its runtime. Colt Seavers falling out of the helicopter was one of the funniest, most awe-inspiring stunts I've seen in a long time, and from a technical standpoint, that wasn't even the coolest. The stuntman drove a futuristic Dodge Challenger over a 250-foot jump, as well as the world record-breaking 8.5 cannon rolls from earlier in the film. Top to bottom, The Fall Guy was an action masterpiece with its shut up and hold my beer stunts. But none of these would have happened without the stuntmen behind it.
Logan Holiday was my stunt driver in this. Ben Jenkins does all of the anything cool and like parkour like that's Ben. Troy Brown did this incredible high fall. It was like 150 feet, I think. Justin Eaton did all the martial arts. Chris O'Hara was amazing stunt coordinator.
The men and women mentioned in that video, as well as countless others, are what made The Fall Guy special. Without them, it just wouldn't be the movie it is. But what really makes this movie special is how David Leitch, an ex-stunt performer, was able to direct this film into more than just an action flick. Stunt work was the very essence of the story, and not just, oh, stunts are cool, but every time a new stunt was performed, you find yourself thinking, hey, there are actually some really cool, talented people behind the wheel, and it was fun trying to see if you could spot the difference between actor and stunt double. And due to the nature of the story, I'm sure a lot of the cast was just stunt doubles having fun punching each other. Like, seriously, there was a scene in Tom Ryder's house where the stunt performers just beat each other up and shoot guns and jump off the roof. There were a lot of fun stunts, but it was made even better because the film drew the attention to the people behind every wheel of every car and the ropes of every fall. Guy. Similarly to Bullet Train, there were lots of interesting gimmicks in each fight scene that elevated the whole experience. For example, Colt Seavers uses a prop pistol with blanks in it to fake his own death and scare off some other stunt performers. And the spinning trash truck scene was fun, but it was elevated by a French-commanded dog and a kidnapped coworker beating up some dude in the cockpit. But the stunts were enhanced even further by the score and the cinematography. The shots of Metal Storm were giving Mad Max meets Dune vibes, and it was awesome. If possible, I want to pick up a space cowboy outfit because they just look sweet. And just about every time we were transported into the world of Metal Storm, a riff plays that sounds an awful lot like Hans Zimmer's Dune score. As far as the score for The Fall Guy goes, and not just the fictional in-universe film, it slaps. There's a scene where Colt gets in a Dodge Challenger and starts doing donuts, and it's cool and all, but it's made 10 times better with Thunderstruck by AC/DC blaring in the background. The build-up all the way to the conclusion of that scene was perfectly crafted. And Kiss's I Was Made for Loving You plays throughout both in scene and mixed into the score. The music choice really helps land that nostalgic but cool vibe that the movie needed. It also helped bring in the audiences of the original show. Even when the action takes a step back, the audience isn't left bored. The love story between Colt and Jodie isn't just a funny one, but it's kind of heartfelt at some points. The two standout scenes are when Jodie is wanting to embarrass Colt because she's a little frustrated with him. She repeatedly throws him against the wall, sets him on fire, and repeats the process because the shot wasn't good enough. The scene was mostly played for laughs, but I do think the dialogue between Jodie and Colt was very interesting. Jodie felt that she could only wait for so long for Colt to respond to her after his accident, but she eventually gave up because you can't hold on to the past forever. And on the other side, Colt couldn't find the right words to say to Jodie because he wanted to say the right thing that helped kind of back him up and validate him for ghosting her for a year and a half. In the second most important scene for the relationship, we learn that Colt was trained to give the thumbs up no matter what. Whether he's being thrown up against a rock or dropping a couple stories or rolling a car, it was part of the job to always get back up and give the thumbs up to the crew. But this time he didn't feel great. I mean, he had broken his back. I don't really blame him for not wanting to continue stunt work. And him not feeling good after a stunt for once hurt that pride a little bit. And he couldn't bring himself to talk to Jodie again. In this specific scenario, I don't think Colt Seavers should have ghosted anyone, especially Jodie. But I guess at the end of the day, we all have our own issues, and for Colt, it was issues with his pride. To kind of wrap up the video, I wanted to discuss my 5 favorite stunts of all time. Number 5, the clifftop sword fight in The Princess Bride. Something about the way this scene was choreographed just makes it so fun to watch. The humor and dialogue also helps complement this beautiful sword fight. Number 4, the bridge fight at the beginning of The Legend of Zorro is similar to the previous stunt I just mentioned, but I personally like the setting and the stakes more. There's more people, and it's fun seeing ropes cut and planks fall down. Number 3, the helicopter stunt at the end of The Fall Guy was perfect. I personally loved seeing Colt flip off Tom Ryder before going into a free fall onto an airbag below. Something about the way Ryan's stunt double Troy Brown does a heavenly triple flip onto a bag just makes me so giddy. Number 2, Jackie Chan's bike fight was the highlight in The Spy Next Door. The movie overall is kind of aight, but Jackie Chan beats up some Russian goons with a BMX bike, and I'm all here for it. The finesse and speed in which he demolishes the bad guys is something to behold. The only thing more heavenly than a BMX-wielding Jackie Chan is Mission Impossible Fallout's stairs and rooftop scene. Tom Cruise running will never get old, and a 6-minute montage accompanied by Lauren Ballfay's brilliant score proves it. And that wraps up my favorite stunts of all time. Overall, The Fall Guy manages to pay tribute to the stuntmen and women that make your summer blockbusters possible. It has great action, romance, comedy, and acting all tied together in a perfect little bow. I highly recommend you watch this movie. The crew members behind this film deserve every bit of support possible. But that's just my opinion. Go watch it and see what you think, because your own opinion will always, sometimes, be more important than mine. Next video is going to be on Civil War, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that.